modern weight loss drugs and a bunch of the tools we have, modern plastic surgery, and all the stuff we're going to be getting in the next 5, 10, 15 years, there is no good reason not to completely accept the fact that you are now beautiful, and it is going to continue. And then it's a really emotional thing to meditate on it and really, really drink up the compliment and let it seep through every very dark, distant part of my brain that still says I'm ugly, and be like, no, there's a new piece of evidence presented. Slowly over time, your neural network, beautiful. And you're like, I do. Yeah. And walking around.
Dr. Mike Israetel, welcome back to the American Glutton Podcast.
Ethan, it's good to be back, though. I've lately taken an intellectual view that is spiteful both to America and the gluttonous as a peoples. So
yes,
it's going to be confrontational.
I love it. I want the confrontation. By the way, I want to get into all of that. Like, is the spitefulness towards gluttony altruistic? Like, this is a burden on the healthcare system, or are you just overall disgusted by them?
I'm just a mean person. You know, I just have to shoot my meanness at people who really are on their desperate last leg and already don't love themselves as much as they should. And I just want to get them while they're down. You know, people say punching down is like distasteful in comedy. I think it's hilarious and I love it. I can't get enough punching down.
I don't always hate it either. But I will say this is at odds with something I saw recently on, I think it was the Dr. Mike Clips channel, where you were talking about turning over a new leaf and being kinder. There was a kinder, gentler Dr. Mike. Is that just reserved for your own channel? But then you come on my show and others and are like, guess what? Here's how I really feel.
Oh, God. Yeah, no, I mean, all jokes, man. I'm here for positivity and a good time. And actually, just before we started recording, I had to run off and go pee. And the reason is twofold. One, humans tend to urinate pretty regularly, so I just have no choice in that. But the other is that I was actually going to pee earlier, because we had this podcast scheduled, but I got caught up because I am finishing the rough draft of a book that touches on all of this stuff that we're going to talk about today. And that book is going to be called The Aesthetic Revolution. Oh. And it is kind of my treatise on, you know, what is the human desire for physical beauty? How deep does it go? How long have we been trying to become more beautiful? And has there been recently, and I think the answer is yes, an inflection point in our exponential ability to become as beautiful as we would like? And I think that means by the late 2030s, the vast majority of people that want to look a certain way in every regard are going to be able to get it for a very reasonable price. And I think that's going to change the world. It intersects you and I stuff quite substantially on that.
Well, I mean, I'm following you. My question is, when everybody is beautiful, will that kind of primal urge, which I'm sure your book touches on, that doesn't just go away? Do we just move towards the absurd? You know what I mean? Or does it become Brazil, where we're getting like crazy shit done because that becomes a sign of beauty?
You know, there are two ways. There are many, many ways to look at beauty. One way is to look at beauty as a mechanism with which to kind of separate yourself from the pack as a status symbol. And, you know, that's how people also used to look at being thick enough and pale enough to know that you were getting enough to eat and not working in the fields.
Right.
Because not everyone had that. And so that kind of beauty, that exceptionalism, I think will continue and expand into great creativity. You'll see people in 20 years from now that are of a very different color of skin than you would ever see in a human through genetic engineering. You're going to see people with elf ears, horns, the whole thing. Like everyone who's ever, been gone through a goth phase, going right back through that shit. And then it's going to just be this wonderful explosion of creativity. And within their little mini status hierarchy, some people will try to leverage their creativity in a way that makes them unique and stand out, separates them from the group. But there's another way that I'm familiar with looking at physical human beauty that I think is much more important in the grand scheme. I'm not trying to denigrate the idea of beauty as a singular characteristic that you use to kind of make yourself stand out. And that beauty to me is a lack in your physical appearance of any or most, or at least some qualities that the vast majority of humans consider universally unattractive.
Yeah.
It is the difference between saying, between Elon and Jeff Bezos being like, well, I have $200 billion, I have 250, versus someone going from having not enough food to eat to making $100,000 a year and living in Sweden. And just like, that's not a problem anymore. Right. And I think in today's world, in the forever world, and today just numerically with how many people we have, there are billions of people walking around who, it's not that they look cool according to themselves and they just kind of want to look more exotic. It's that they haven't come up to that midline of acceptable yet in their own heads. Like, you and I grew up in interesting bodies, I'll say that. And you and I, neither one of us really loved how we looked when we were, let's say, in our teen years or high school years or something like that. And what I think is a critical component of beauty is to say that Kim Kardashian shit that you can do, the exotic shit, is totally cool. And a lot of people are going to want to do that. But I think beauty for now, if we're looking at it as a problem to be solved in society, the biggest problem is the vast majority of people present every day to the most important person in the world, which is themselves in the mirror, as not remotely beautiful enough to at least be free to just be like, you know what, I look fine. I at least look fine. It's the difference between showing up to your high school in a Ferrari, which is like, okay, Kim Kardashian trying to swag really exotic beauty, versus showing up in a nice Toyota Camry. Like, no one's looking at your car weird. It's a fine car. No one's going to make fun of you for it. Versus showing up in like a car with a fucking missing wheel from 1982 and there's rust everywhere and it bangs and clangs and shits itself out in the parking lot every day. You're going to get heat for that. And even if everyone's super supportive and everyone's really lovey, one of these progressive Hollywood high schools nowadays, I'm sure, that you yourself, someone's like, do you love your car? You're like, the fuck would I love this car? It's a fucking shit car. So many people are living in bodies that they don't even remotely are even Toyota Camry versions of themselves. That's what I'm really trying to attack. That's really, really, really important because it touches people's hearts every single day. And I think, obviously this is a first world problem. This is like the definition of a first world problem. But first world problems can still problems. And it really, really touches me in an emotional way that's very deep to know that there are people around that really do not like how they look. And I'm in the fitness industry, specifically the aesthetic component of the fitness industry. I'm trying to get people to look as good as they possibly can, as good as they want. And when I see someone walking around that I know reasonably well two things about them. One, they don't look good. And two, they know they don't look good. And maybe three, they don't like it at all. They don't like it a lot. I'm like, we can help that person. And their technologies and our abilities to help them are exponentially scaling right now, such that we'll eventually be able to help everyone look exactly as beautiful as they want. The where that leads, the what they look like part, fucking that's for people to decide. I'm a libertarian. I don't give a fuck how people look. And if you look like you're 500 pounds overweight, but you 100% love your body, come over here, give me a hug, man. I'm gonna love the fuck out of you too. No worries at all. But I know something, you know something, we know something that is profound, that, dare I say, the traditional, very well meant left-wing body positivity movement leaves the fuck out, is the idea that those people themselves, 99 times out of 100, they don't like how they look. Right. And it's not to other people, it's a society, to themselves. Yeah. And how do you change that? You can re-architect your brain a little bit. You can see yourself in a different perspective. That helps on the margins. It's like budgeting helps you when you make almost not enough money to live and eat. Budgeting will make you not starve. But will it relax you to the point where you can go to the movies without having to count your pennies? Fuck no. No, you don't go to the movies. You're barely alive. I want those people to get to a place where they look at their bodies and they go, yeah, I fuck with this. And I think that's going to require actually changing the body. And I think it's a big deal.
I think it's a big deal too. A couple things. There's an author named Arwen Elise Dayton. She's a great author. She writes mostly YA. I've read a couple of her books because I'm also friends with her. And I'm blanking on the name of her book, but she wrote a book about 10 years ago talking exactly about the creativity aspect you talk. And she posits up into like 100 years in the future, something like that. And there are literally people with wings and horns and all of that. It's a fucking wild book if anybody wants to read it. Awesome. But it is the exact trajectory you were talking about on the creative side with what we're doing with our bodies. And I read it kind of like skeptically, like, this is all going to be doom and gloom because people shouldn't have wings. And she paints this really cool picture of like, no, a kid woke up and he wanted wings and then he got wings and it's fucking great.
Well, think about it this way. Like, it used to be like if you had like green hair and you wore all black, you were a fucking reject. And now you're like just a kid in middle school who's like one of the many kids who looks different. Nobody cares. And everyone knows like objectively, who cares what color your hair is? Like, you can imagine applying for like a coding job at Meta and they look at your green hair and your spacer earrings. They're like, look, like you're Harvard's best coder, but we can't have this at our corporation. It would just not a thing anymore. I think, wings and horns are just exactly the same. Like, you're like, oh, humans shouldn't have wings. And someone's like, why? And you're like, because I have a lot of feelings about it, I guess. There's no logical reason why humans shouldn't have. Fucking get your wings going, girl. You know what I'm saying? You give me a fine ass bitch with some wings. That shit, that's more points. Show me how you need, our baby. Saying wings, horns, a whole devil fucking tail. I'll take all that shit.
Yes. The second part is I lost 300 pounds. I think I looked my absolute best when I was working with your guy, Jared Feather. Shout out to the homie.
He doesn't need any more props.
But I got to a place where I don't even think I could have imagined I'm going to look this good. And there was still an emptiness. There was still a feeling of like, it's not good enough somehow. Is there a component that you are working on or positing where you get everything you want and you're still unhappy with it? You know what I mean?
This is a sensitive subject. This is a very, very fascinating realm of conversation. We have to reserve the idea that obviously the reality is more complex than I'm going to make it seem, but it's at least this complex. There may be like three kind of eventualities that people go through when they get into better bodies. One eventuality is they get their better body and they just fucking love it, and it's just rainbows and sunshine. Yeah. And we look at the literature of how people appraise themselves and their self-esteem after losing weight, especially in females, and it's like on average people just feel much better.
Yeah.
So there's lots of people that are like, this is it, man. All I want to do is get rid of that spare tire. As soon as it's gone, I'm living my best life. And that's a thing that happens. Another group of people on the tail end, so this is group one we talked about. Group three are people that their lack of physical beauty in their own eyes was distinctly a problem, but their overall psychology, their total ratio of positivity to negativity in their thinking is like a layer or five deeper than that.
Yeah.
And so when you look exactly like you want, you are left with like, oh, so now the reason my brain is negative is other shit.
Right.
And it turns out that like getting more beautiful was like cool, but it didn't hit that shit that I really needed. You know what I mean? It's kind of like your friend desperately longs for just incredible love and connection and depth and respect with another woman, but you're like, yeah, Cody's lonely, and so you like hook him up with one of your party girlfriends, and she gives him a fucking blowski, and you're like, Cody, what do you think? Because it was great, but she was really good. How much practice has she really had, and is it safe for me to be doing this? But it was cool, but it didn't hit that thing I needed. It turns out the thing I need is a lot deeper than that. That's definitely a possibility. And then there's this middle option, which I think a lot of people maybe underappreciate. And it's something that I actually just wrote this section in the book, and it was quite emotional. And so I think people go through, I'll say, their entire lives of a couple of things, all bent into one dynamic. coming into the world like a super awesome, positive person who just wants friends. You know, like the average 6-year-old walks into a kindergarten. Looking at people that you like because they're pretty people and they're nice people and trying to talk to them. And then those people like kind of don't want to fuck with you too much. And they make fun of you, how you look. And then you look in the mirror later and you have an internal appraising system anyway for beauty. You know, like no one looks at an action cartoon and goes, I want to look like the Blob Man. And they're like, I want to look like fucking Superman. And it doesn't require any socialization. It's just natural, evolved brain characteristics. And so you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, oh, I can tell why the kids don't want to hang out with me. I look like shit. And that triple threat, that you don't appraise yourself to look good, that others don't appraise you to look good, and that you're going to experience a lot of negativity for that consistently, continues, as you and I both well know, I mean, up until the age at which people just give you low-key polite signals that they don't like how you look, which is like what, like in your 20s or something. People just won't. Like in college, people don't just make fun of you for being fat anymore, right? That's how you get shot.
Unless they're drunk.
Unless they're drunk. And then they may try to also have sex with you if there's not enough other people at the party. So, you know, you have, let's say, 20 years of what I would say low-key, lowercase t, trauma. Because, like, if you think about it, you know, let's say you were in a world, which is actually one we're getting real close to today, of you're going to have a kid. And the scientists are like, look, we can make this kid look like fuck all, like whatever, okay? Like, what do you want the kid to look like when they're older? How many parents are going to be like, I want Chelsea, her name's going to be Chelsea, to like have a really tough life so she can learn a lesson. I wanted to make her fuck ugly. Like her nose, just two different noses, just grotesque, like two titties instead of like, or like two titties per titty, you know, like the fat that stores under the titty. It's not clear that shit like that. Like how many people would actually put a human being through a lifetime of that? Maybe zero, maybe like, I don't know, Kim Jong-un because he's pure evil, some shit like that. And so you end up, the reason I think people don't want to do this to a human being is that they understand 20 years spent hating where you live, which is your own body, and spent you're just getting signals from everywhere around you that you're not looking how you're supposed to be is fucking terrible. And I can go in very much in depth as to how terrible it is in a very nuanced way. I'm going to do one quick example, as I think it might hit some folks who are listening, and then I'll get into the where I'm going with this whole thing. When you are a girl, and let's say you're in your high school years, and let's say you have a group of girlfriends, and this is often the case that, you know, you're a really funny girl, you're really smart, and you're real confident, you have balls, and then so you're friends with all the popular girls. And most of them are popular just because people want to have sex with them because they look hot. And at some point, you're friends with all the same guy friends who are also the popular guys, right? And so, like, as tends to happen in human dynamics, people will fall for one another. People will be interested in one another. People want to date. Oh, Corey's dating Elise and all this other fucking bullshit, right? And then as that girl who is, let's say, facially and bodily, like, unattractive by normal standards, you know, you're in the mix. These are your friends. And so you're going to fucking, you like Dave, and you giggle to your friends, you texting him at night, oh my God, I think I like Dave. And they go, oh my God, Dave. And everyone else's guy of interest says yes, and they're holding hands the next day. Dave gives you a speech about how you're awesome, but he just wants to be friends. And you fucking know it's because of how you look. And you fucking put the phone down after the text and you cry and cry and cry. There's nobody to stop your tears. And that happens for the fucking rest of your life. This is a big fucking deal. It's a huge fucking deal. So, case in point, you take all that fucking trauma and then you get your good body. It's 2032. You use the RPI Hypertrophy app, Diet Coach app. You strip all the shit. You get all the lipo, skin removal, waist tuck surgery. You get your face fucking done up. You get on the super advanced drugs that keep you lean and muscular. Age reversal starts to hit. So you're 42 years old, but now you look like you're 25. And I mean a hot fucking 25. Like everyone wants to bang you. Everyone wants to talk to you. That whole bullshit. Are we going to pretend that one day, 1 week, 1 month, or even 1 year of living in that new reality is going to wash away the fucking gunk in your head you earned for 20, 30, 40 years of living in a fucking trash can as far as you were concerned? No. And remember, the brain is significantly more plastic when you're younger. Dude, I still have dreams I'm failing high school. I fucking quit the university because I made so much money I couldn't afford to go back to university, for the love of God.
Yeah.
How the fuck am I still dreaming about this? Because that shit hits hard. And so that category two is people who have transformed their physiques and their faces or whatever else they want and haven't basked in the sun of the glory of existing in a beautiful body for nearly long enough. Years, Ethan, years it takes. It might take decades of constant shit that the cute girls got from day one. Yeah. You're a cute 6-year-old. Everyone's like, oh, you sure are a little dainty flower, aren't you? Now go on, run along. You know, you avoid the strangers with the fucking keep giving you candy. But when you're the fucking grotesque fat girl, nobody fucking gives you candy. I bet you've had enough candy. Get away from my van. I'm waiting for the cute 6-year-olds to show up. The whole, every time you're 8, you're 10, you're 12, everything around you is reinforced. You're beautiful. You know it all. You know it deep and true. You're that girl. That is what allows you to be a 25-year-old version of that girl and just be like, fuck it. I'm going braless and without makeup. I'm going out. I don't give a fuck. And people, dude, are you serious? Like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. Watch. You want me to fuck that guy? Hey, John, come over here. You want to fuck? He's like, yeah, hell yeah. You're goddamn beautiful. And you have balls. You have confidence. How'd you get all that confidence? Because you fucking know you already know. You know, like if someone's like, hey, do you want to get in a quick improv and do some acting? You're like, yeah, no problem. Like, how do you know you can act? Like, motherfucker, I've been acting since I was fucking sentient. It's just like living and breathing.
Yeah.
And so we cannot expect people who have spent the vast majority of their lives not living in bodies that they liked. And that's a very charitable understatement. Living in bodies they fucking hated and were reminded of every, I don't know, hour sometimes, every minute sometimes, that they were not that person. If we transform them and make them look how they want, they need what I call lots of time in the sun, basking. And there's a technique to this too, because a lot of us are very good people. I point to myself. I'm not a good person. You, Ethan. And we don't like to gloat. We don't like to really absorb compliments. People give us insults. We're like, oh, I really want to attend to that because I don't want to be a bad person. Please give me more criticism. But when people give you a compliment, they go, oh, come on, stop. No. When you transform and you're finally looking like you want or something close to it, every compliment that comes your way, you need to drink and imbibe and shower and swim in that sea of positivity and reinforcement. So it's slowly underneath, slowly neuron by neuron, your brain can wake up to the idea that you're not hideous anymore, that you're beautiful now. And then when you live it for years, it will change you. It will 100% change you. And then you have a probability of being in that group too, which is like, okay, yeah, when I first got in shape, it was awkward. I didn't know, like it looked cool. I was really excited, but I was still kind of like my old usual grumpy self. But then like, I don't know, 3 years of people DMing me, wanting to fuck me, and 3 years of boyfriends begging not to break up, and 3 years of random strangers like just being like, hey, I just want to, you just look phenomenal. I don't know what it is about you. You just look unbelievable. That shit hits you, man. It happens the first time. You used to be an ugly fat girl. Now you're driving home because the guy at the club was like, I just think you're the most beautiful thing ever. So I don't even want to talk. Like, I don't want to date you. I have someone else. I just want to tell you you're amazing. You're driving home. You're like, that fucking happened? To me, it was a mistake. It must have been a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. And then it happens again and again and again. That cup is only this full. You need to fill it up with a fucking ocean of positivity. When that happens, you have a very good chance of feeling very different and much better about yourself. But we cannot pretend that one little transformation after all that fucking trauma. Let me give you a real shit analogy. This analogy sucks. Let's say you survive the Holocaust. The whole thing, all that nasty shit. And then you get to America and you're free. Who expects you to smile, Ethan? You land, the ship lands or whatever, and you're like, hey, Statue of Liberty, you're free. Nobody's going to persecute Jews. You're good, and you're good to go. Let's get a picture really quick because the Holocaust is over. You want to smile? Like, smile, are you out of your fucking mind?
You did it.
My whole family get toasted in front of me. What am I smiling about? Yeah. Now, after 40 years of starting a new family and seeing wonderful things and beautiful things, you might get a smile going. But it's going to take a while. And so obviously the Holocaust is 10 trillion times worse than just being fat and ugly your whole life. But you know what I'm saying with that example?
No,
it doesn't just end right away.
You painted a picture of my life really, really perfectly. And I wonder if, as you're saying that, some part of me, when I had relapse after relapse of weight regain, and I mean massive weight regain, if it wasn't partially because I didn't feel deserving, or some aspect of it where it was like I'm still not experiencing the joy that I saw all my friends experiencing when I was an adolescent. And what the fuck do I keep trying to adhere to this thing, which is tough. Like the picture you're painting is in the future where it becomes much easier and much more attainable. Mine has been hard work, and there were times where I achieved a version of myself that I thought I wanted, that I got more attention, that I wasn't getting looks of dismissal for the way I presented, and I still didn't feel great. I still felt traumatized to some degree. And then I was like, well, I'm not going to work my ass off to feel the same way I did before. And I think you're absolutely right. I think drinking in those compliments and experiencing that joy is something that has to be done intentionally.
Very much so. Some people are better at it than others. Some people are very, very bad at it, and they actively resist compliments.
I do.
Yeah. It's definitely a thing. And I think it's one of those things that, if you really think about it, is a bad habit.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things that seems like a good idea because you want to be a humble person, right? But humility presupposes that you already have a confidence with what you are. But if you don't have that confidence, you're actually pretending humility. And what you really need is to be told and to believe that you are beautiful, that you are worthwhile, that you are special. I've brought people to tears telling them real shit I think about them in the most positive way. And the tears are from the breaking the dam open for resistance to things like that. There's another thing. I think there's another dynamic going on. The dynamic looks like this. As a little girl, this is much easier with a female example. And actually the book is geared a little bit towards females more than males. It's for everyone, but
sure.
Because females have one hell of a fucking road with this shit, and you and I went through. It sucks, but
I would not. I completely agree with you. Yeah. Seeing what girls, I have 4 daughters, and just that none of them are obese, and they all experience some version of what I experienced, and I'm like, why? You don't have to think that. Yeah. You don't have to feel that way.
Yeah. So, if you are generally unattractive and you know it, through your childhood, through your teen years, through your 20s. In many cases, as a human being, you're going to have fantasy. You're going to have hope. And the fantasy and hope will be, when I look good, if I looked good, I could have Prince Charming, the whole shit, all the beautiful things, friends, blah, 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 blah. And life teaches you over decades that it's like a pinhole of light you're looking from inside of a dungeon in which you're chained. Just stop looking at it. You're never going to be free. You thought you were going to be free? Never happened. Remember that one diet you tried? That shit didn't work. Remember, your friends were like, hey, this hat, it's just a fashion thing. You got to lean into your look. All right, I look like a hipster now, which is sweet, but I get hipster guys still don't pay attention to me. And you have this developed callousness, this resistance to the idea of accepting that you could be beautiful, because every inkling of accepting that you tried, like your friends drag you to the mall, they're like, it's just a fashion thing. You had hope. You're like, dude, after this mall trip, I kind of don't want to tell myself in my own head too much. Like, after this mall trip, I think things are going to be different. I think Kevin's going to like me and ask me out on a date. And what the fuck does Kevin do? He's just fucking dating some skinny bitch again. And so this scars you. And then when you finally start to look more like what you like and what other people like, the compliments, the great things are like you waking up outside of the matrix and rejecting reality. I don't want to be in the fucking Nebuchadnezzar. Trinity could get it. The rest of you are fucked. Everything smells. I don't want to fight the machines. Get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And even though your world in the matrix was a fucking literal prison, you're like, it's the prison I know. And you, it's more of a thing of like, I don't want to accept these compliments because they'll raise my hopes. It's like if you have a really good dream, it's very much not like your reality. And it's about something that you want but can't have. The better the dream is, the worse the morning waking up bullshit is. Because, oh, fuck, like, don't give me hope. Hope is an amazing seed for suffering. Yeah. And so what a lot of people end up doing, I think, is when they start to get their better look, some of them get their amazing look, they're inundated with compliments and wonderful things, and they resist because they don't want to get hurt. It's like, women in the fucking, like, not sitcoms, what are they called? The romance movies. They're like, some guy's like, come on, like, let's do it. She's like, I just don't want to get hurt again. And you're like, come on, do it. And we only have an hour of the movie left, bitch, do something. But the reality is, like, that plot line paints a very distinct picture for women who get really, really hurt by emotional investment when it goes awry. And so when they see a guy that's really worthwhile, they're like, some of them are like, no. The heartbreak from this is going to be way too much. The heartbreak from accepting those compliments, from the audacity of believing that people are sincere and that this new look is here to last is something that a lot of people look to and they're like, nah, fuck that, dude. I'm not. No. I'm just going to, like, straight and narrow. Compliments are nice, cool. I'm not going to let them inundate me. I'm not going to let them get into here because I don't want to fucking risk, like, going back to being, like the pumpkin chariot or whatever. I don't want any of that shit, man. It would be too goddamn much. And I think that's a big deal. And I think if you're really living in a reality with modern weight loss drugs and a bunch of the tools we have, modern plastic surgery, and all the stuff we're going to be getting in the next 5, 10, 15 years, there is no good reason not to completely accept the fact that you are now beautiful, and it is going to continue. And then it's a really emotional thing to say to yourself, you know what? Every time someone compliments me, I'm going to meditate on it and really, really drink up the compliment and let it seep through every very dark, distant part of my brain that still says I'm ugly, and be like, no, there's a new piece of evidence presented. Slowly over time, your neural network, it's older, it's more resistant to change, but it changes until someone's like, do you feel beautiful? And you're like, I do. Yeah. And walking around in your own body, all by yourself, feeling beautiful is a thing that I think, like, as much as sex and food and the ability to be the best at something once in your life is like a bit of a low-key human birthright, I think feeling beautiful in your own body is a fucking human birthright. Like, everyone should have it. It's also a really cool thing that beauty in this way that I'm describing it, the absence of radical imperfections that everyone considers grotesque, that is something that is not a good that functions in the standard economic sense of the more of it you have, the less value you have, and the more people around you have it, the less value. Like, is the 1% in our society, wealth-wise, worse off because everyone else is wealthier? No, actually, they're better off. Yeah. It's just better for everyone. Beauty is like that. If everyone was more beautiful, it would just be wonderful for everyone.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. It's a fucking beautiful painting you paint. And I fall squarely into the latter camp, not the camp that wants to get creative, but just the camp that grew up feeling that I didn't fit in for the very reasons you stated and just wanted to, I was desperate to feel normal. And then I got to a weight that was deemed normal by doctors and every metric you could gauge weight by, and I still didn't feel normal, and it was tough, man. And I think having, I think like any of this, having a reference guide, talking about it, communicating in the way you just did is so valuable and so important. And this really brings me to what I really want to talk to you about, which is there are aspects of weight loss, which was my fundamental path into normalcy through my own eyes. Like, this was how I stood out negatively, was my weight. And at the time that I started losing weight, there was no mention whatsoever of loose skin. This was not a topic anybody said to me. This was not a topic I even saw on people who had lost a lot of weight. And so when I finally lost 300 pounds and had curtains of skin hanging off of my body, I and I'd been trapped by the wonderful marketing of numerous diets that were bullshit, but I got trapped by red lights, mineral wraps, autophagy, this idea of autophagy. And I want to know how you avoided that. Two things. You, a guy who I always thought of as a peak physical specimen, to have the same problem as me made me feel less bad about that problem that I had. That's number one. And then number two, did you try intermittent fasting to handle your loose skin? Did you try ice baths or red light therapy? How did you stay away from those solutions?
Yeah. So for me, it was just a matter of luck and timing. I got purposefully gigantic when I was in my 20s and grew out my excess skin to just try to get massive, to get strong and big. I just literally didn't know that skin didn't resorb. I had no clue. And sure as shit found out later when I did my first attempt to get into decent shape. I believe I was 28 years old when I first saw my abs. And I was like, oh, God damn it, I still have love handles. The fuck? And they weren't like full of fat. They were like pinchable all the way through. They had like actually a skin fold caliper. They were like 7 millimeters or something. You just think, what the hell? But there's all the stuff. And you're like, oh, like this is all just full of water and there's just loose skin. And so I was like, oh, God damn it. But, if I had really curtailed my water intake, filled out with carbs, then the love handles weren't like crazy obtrusive. And so I was like, oh, whatever. And I was still busy getting jacked and all this other stuff. And I didn't, even think a lot about it. Then later, as I got more into competitive bodybuilding, it became apparent that like, okay, like you can have a pretty sweet physique. And I've had a physique that includes striated glutes and separated hamstrings, all that fucking bells and whistles, and still with love handles. And then at that point, I was like, oh, God damn it. But at that point, I was already like retired from being a professor of exercise science. So I knew for a fact that minerals and autophagy and all that shit was just fucking bunk. And I was like, well, so clearly the only way to get this much skin off is some kind of cosmetic procedure. For a little bit less skin than I had to get off, you can use non-skin removal procedures. You can use skin tightening and lipo combinations, like a procedure they called Body Tight. And so those procedures are great for many people. But if you have a lot of loose skin, certainly as much as you had, the only way really to remediate that currently with our technology is to cut it out and sew the ends back together. And that I was finally in a place where I was like, okay, I had to like step away from bodybuilding for a while to pursue YouTube and whatever junior league fame bullshit from that. And then once I got stable on that, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to come back to bodybuilding at some point. And also I want to exist in a physique that I really love. Like through my entire physique journey, I've never once existed in a body I loved. I've existed in a body I really liked, but like if I just don't turn to the side and look at my love handles, and then then I'm like, it's like it wasn't a thing that like just crushed me all the time, but it was definitely like, oh, God damn it, what the fuck is this here, and so I was like, you know what? I really want to just exist in a body, which I think is just awesome all around. I want that at least once, and preferably for as long as I can get it. And so recently I made the decision. I was like, you know what? Like, let's just fucking do this. So I got surgery consults and found the right surgeon and worked with the surgeon in depth to say, hey, this is the issue going on. Here are the unique features of my body. Here's what I would like for you to try to do. What do you think? We had a little back and forth. Eventually he was like, okay, fine. He did the surgery. After the surgery, he was like, actually, you're right. There's way more shit in there than I thought. Because I'm very lean and muscular compared to like almost every cosmetic surgery candidate. Yeah. He was like, I don't really think there's a lot here. And I was like, trust me, there is a lot here. And he was actually Dr. Douglas Steinbreck. He's great. Alpha male plastic surgery. He's awesome. Highly recommended. And I was like, there's actually a deeper level of fat underneath this skin surface fat. And he's like, you know what? I know about that. And a lot of surgeons don't even like know about it or care. They just take the skin surface fat off and they leave the deep fat. I'm like, I want you to take all of it. He's like, you got it, man. And so he snatched my waist in, and I've been just bloated and fucked up and recovering from scar shit. But even today, I had a back pump and I took my brace off and I looked back there and I was like, oh my God, my lats are coming out of my back in a way that I didn't think was possible. Yeah. But I was like, oh yeah, I don't have a fuckload of fat in that area anymore and no more loose skin. And so it's been wonderful so far. And it's just every week it looks more and more like it's supposed to. And I don't have a genetically big waist bone structure wise. So it's been looking really awesome. But that's kind of my story. So I really, to answer your question much more succinctly, I cheated by getting 10 years of education in exercise and sports science. So you never had to fall for that shit. By the time I wanted to do something about it, I already knew what to do about it. But exactly to your point, Ethan, you said back when you were doing this whole weight loss journey thing, it is still the case that almost everyone who's losing weight simply does not know two things. One, they don't know that loose skin is an issue. Two, or could be an issue for them. Two is they don't know that surgical interventions are really 95% of what you do about loose skin past a certain point.
Yeah.
Those things are still incredibly mysterious to most people, and I wish they weren't.
I do too. I try to, well, I'll say two things. First of all, the first time I ever lost weight, I wanted to forget that I had ever been as big as I was and move forward in life and not talk about it and go like, I am this now and I wasn't that.
Pause.
Yeah.
Pause. You think with that much fucking trauma, you were going to feel good right away by trying to forget the shit? You know what I'm saying, Ethan?
I totally know, but it's taken me years of truly deep psychological investigation to go, what the fuck is wrong with me? Why do I look in the mirror today 300 pounds less, visible abs? Still, I've maintained, listen, they're not quite as deep as when I was working with Jared, but I throw on the overhead light in my bathroom and they fucking explode out of my abdomen.
Yeah.
And I'm still looking at myself going, you're a piece of shit. You know, the scale might be a pound up today and you suck. I'm able today to recognize that is my lifetime of bullshit.
Yes.
That's coming forward in an emotional way, not in a rational way. When I'm doing maintenance, which is what I've been doing for many years now, I still get disappointed when the scale's the same. And I've said this 1,000 times. I spent so long putting effort into weight loss that any effort with food should be rewarded for me by weight loss. And when it's rewarded by weight maintenance, it's emotionally disappointing. It's not logically disappointing because I can take a second and go, everything I did yesterday was to preserve this weight on the scale, and I've done that, and that's a success. Shut the fuck up to that little voice saying you're fat, because you're not. Objectively not. Right. I mean, I might be objectively overweight, but I'm not objectively
big difference.
Over fat. That's a difference. Yeah. But the loose skin thing, and I agree with you. I think it's becoming more talked about because of social media, which didn't exist for me as a kid, and certainly not.
Thank God, am I right? Those 90s parties. Who else is going to Diddy jail?
yeah, exactly. Those people weren't talking about it because none of them were fat, you know. Right. But like it's such a the first paparazzi picture I had taken of me when I'd lost weight and I was riding a bicycle all day long. The story they ran, which I believe was in the UK Daily Mail, was literally, the headline was the terrible side effects of weight loss. And it was just zoomed in, and they'd have a picture of me and then a bubble picture zoomed in of my knees with folds of skin. And the whole story was about this tragic disfigurement that I had gotten from weight loss. And then I was like, fuck you, I'm not talking to anybody about this. I'm keeping this to myself. And that was like, probably 2010 or 11.
Yeah.
And it turns out like, actually, it's really much more healthy for me to talk about all of this, to communicate about how I'm feeling, to investigate the past, rather than try to sweep it under the rug and go, I'm not thinking about that. Because the more I try to actively not think about it and dismiss it as my former self and not something I actually experienced, the more it kind of haunts me. And the more I can sit here with you and go like, I fucking still got loose skin. It drives me crazy. I actually had a circumferential body lift. That was the first procedure I had. And I had so much anxiety because for multiple reasons. At the time, I thought I was cheating. I thought
Oh
that,
boy.
yeah, this was a big thing. Like, I didn't want to do the surgery. I thought I was cheating. I thought surgery meant cheating. I thought that the red lights, the mineral wraps, and the cryo stuff just didn't work on me because I wasn't doing it right, and there was something wrong with me. I
But
wasn't.
that wasn't cheating.
Those things were
Other
not cheating.
technologies were not
Surgery was,
cheating.
yeah,
That specific
surgery was
technology was
somehow
cheating.
cheating. I wasn't prepared to sit still for as long as you really need to sit still when they cut you in half.
Yeah, oh yeah. They really do cut you in
They
half.
cut you right in half and sew you back together. And I like started to try to move around too early, fell over, split my side open, and they couldn't sew me back up because of a potential for infection. So I had this thing called a wound vac, and I have a scar. My entire right hip is just a giant scar because they couldn't sew it back up, and it fucking sucks. And so like I did it all wrong, but I went into it with all these thoughts about like how a normal person could lose weight and not have to deal with this. And I'm just the asshole who's given up on trying the slow and natural remedies, and I'm going to go and have it cut off. It's all nonsense.
It's all
nonsense.
It's really important for us to say that it's all nonsense, because you and I, we already lived a good fraction of life. We learned our lessons. We got to teach other people. There's younger people listening to this, older people listening to this, haven't gone through this, and they're still engendering and entertaining some of those notions.
Yeah.
Very, very wrong notions. Guys, Ethan, you said so much, man. There's so many things to say. First of all, one thing I've found, and it's something I've done myself and regretted, was like the dehumanization we put celebrities through. Because what I always told myself in my head, like, you know, when I was making fun of celebrity workouts a little while back, in a not so nice way.
I always loved them, I have to say. Like,
thank you so much. Well, yeah, they're very entertaining.
Member, yes.
Yeah, and like I never really made fun of like the celebrities themselves. I did make fun of the trainers for being unscientific, which I also guess is kind of rude. I could have done it in a nicer way. But with celebrities, you're kind of like if you was like, hey, what if Kim Kardashian saw your workout critique video of her and just started crying? What I would say is, like, first of all, I'm too pathetic for her to see anything of mine. Second of all, she's a billionaire. She could just wipe her tears with her money, and all is well in the world. And then I realized, as I became more of a celebrity myself, which is like true now, I guess, like
you are the god of YouTube science diet. It's
very, very niche celebrity. Yeah. But, the money doesn't actually wipe the tears away from when people say mean things about you. It's actually totally useless for that. And so celebrities are human. And so when people at like the gossip rags talk about like a picture of your body and say the insane, side effects of weight loss, like these are people who have anonymity and who they're just normal people. They're not evil people. They just haven't had the experience to see it from the other side, to see how it feels to be a human being. Even still, you're a celebrity, but you still have feelings, and then the whole world is talking about how shitty you look. Actually makes you feel really bad, about as bad as anyone else having people say that they look really bad. Dude, if the whole world sees
I
it.
had lost 330 pounds. I was wearing spandex and on a bicycle that I had been riding for 6 hours that day. I was a fucking machine. I had a resting heart rate at the time of 35 beats a minute, which freaked people out when I would get EKGs. Like, they'd be like, has your heart stopped? Are you dying? Yeah. But I was like a legit athlete. And the fucking first story that comes out is like, look at how fucked this guy is. Yeah. You know what I mean? Look at how awful this side effect is.
And I mean, imagine if those people got to taste their own medicine. The thing is, they won't. Yeah. I think with social media, maybe they're getting a little bit of it, but imagine like the girl that wrote that article. Like, she's just like a frumpy, regular London girl. Nothing too good about her. Imagine her walking home after like submitting that article. It's a good article. Her boss was like, this is great. It's going to run front page next week. You're awesome. She's like, looking forward to this Friday, looking forward to have coffee with her friends, a few drinks. And you come up to her on the street, like, it's Elise, right? She's like, oh yeah. Like, I love your work. She's like, oh, great. I think you're just fucking hideous. Has anyone ever told you that? You're ugly. And the way one of your titties is clearly bigger than the other, everyone can tell. But imagine that continues and you have a loudspeaker and you do it on the fucking streets of London as she's walking home for 20 minutes. She is likely to consider that the most traumatic 20 minutes of her entire life. That doesn't hold a candle to putting a fucking Daily Mail article to the whole goddamn world about you. Yeah. And so she's going to be like, wait a minute, this is what we do to people? Yes. Yes, it is. And it's fucking awful. on the one hand. On the other hand, look, like, as a celebrity, you should be getting a course no one gets. Don't read the fucking news. Don't ever read articles about yourself. And if you really have to hide into something in your own shell to make yourself feel better, just remember a really, really mean thing that I don't mean. But when people are mean to you, you can be mean to them in your own head. As I wouldn't put too much into this, but I don't invest in this kind of thinking, but sometimes on a really bad day it can help. If some asshole random person, newspaper editor, calls you fat or calls you loose skin, hanging, blah, 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 this and that, just remember, he goes home to irrelevancy and you're a fucking millionaire famous person that could get any fucking piece of pussy you want in the world. Oh shit, I did win. I'm already like, you talk about me, but I don't even know your name. That's a real thing. The thing is, it's a toxic thing to think. Nobody wants to think like that. So you end up telling yourself, well, I'm not mean, and this person's just a human being like me, except they're putting all this vile nonsense about you in newspapers and shit, and you're at home being like, oh fuck, I'm never going outside again.
Right.
The other thing I wanted to say, Ethan, was what a radical misstatement of reality that headline was. It's not a side effect of weight loss, you dumb motherfucker. It's a side effect of weight gain that you're now just seeing because the weight loss occurred. If I didn't lose weight, you wouldn't put up a fucking article about me being a fat piece of shit.
Right. The skin was the same size the last time I was in your picture where you were celebrating the movie I was in.
Yeah, like, oh god, side effect of weight loss. I better not lose weight. Like, what? Right. That's nonsense. If the article said the side effect of weight gain no one talks about, okay, that would have been interesting because it's like even when you lose weight, the skin is still there. Side effect of weight loss is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. No, I agree. It is the result. One of the results of weight loss is that you can't lose the skin. And I think a lot of people expect to.
Yes.
And I don't think it's talked about enough. And I want to talk about it as much as possible, though it is one of the few areas remaining of my body that I can say, not irrationally, I would like changed, like the skin around my legs. I will maybe ultimately get that surgery.
Why maybe, Ethan? Why all this maybe shit?
Simply because I had such a bad experience. First of all, I can't take opiates. So,
oh boy, do I have good news for you. Pause.
Yeah.
There is a new medication that got approved in January.
Okay.
I've used it for my surgery recovery. It's called Journavx.
Okay.
Journavx.
Never heard of it.
Because it's very new.
Very new.
It is the same analgesic anti-pain effect as opiates. It was tested against Vicodin, like dose for dose. It slightly beat it on pain management from surgery, from reconstructive surgery. This was the trial. It is non-opioid, and it has zero psychological interaction.
Wow.
At all. It has zero probability of addiction. You don't feel like anything. Look, oh my God, I was on opiates too because they prescribe them anyway. And I was like, fuck that. I just had my wife prescribe me Journavx instead. And I was on opiates like a few times. Look, Percocets are really fun. I'm not going to lie. You fucking feel all breezy and shit. Stupid. It's great. But with Journavx, you actually don't feel anything at all. You're just like, oh, I guess I just didn't notice the last 4 hours. I haven't experienced any pain.
Right.
So, Ethan, that is a solved problem. Like, there's literally medication as powerful as opiates. It has zero addiction potential, zero psychological stuff. It's safe. It's vetted. I've used it. So I'm just telling you right now, that's not a thing.
Okay, great. Well, that handles a lot because the last time I had surgery was for a bicep repair. I ruptured my bicep, and the pain I experienced, I tried to have a nerve block put into my shoulder, which then fell out, and that was a disaster. And so I just kind of white knuckled the pain for a few days, and it was so severe. I was kind of like, if I can avoid surgery, there's no reason to do it because the pain is like real. It was like no sleeping, no thought other than like trying to meditate my way through pain. And cutting yourself in half or being cut in half and sewed back together is very painful.
Very, very painful. Luckily, after about a week, the pain goes down to almost nothing, which is like really trippy that your body's just like, hey, all right, we're good.
Right.
Just kidding. Like you're still fundamentally fucked up, but it doesn't care anymore.
Yeah. You still can't go to the gym, but you're not in agony. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is good. But yeah, no, skin removal itself. one of the downsides of skin removal is that it actually touches a lot of surface area. And that means there's a lot of healing to have to happen. So if you have liposuction, you can heal from that pretty quick. If you have skin removal, they just literally like peel the skin off, cut a shitload of it out, stretch it down, staple it back in. It's a lot of shit that gets fucked up. So pain and recovery is definitely a thing. Ethan, I would say your surgery recovery process with the whole wound vac was quite aberrant. It was highly unlikely.
Totally. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And
I would
so
never
nowadays,
try to.
yeah.
Yes, I wouldn't say to somebody like, "Here's what happened to me. You shouldn't do it." I would say like, "I was fucked up. Be prepared to sit still for a while and like get good with that. Don't have anxiety." I had terrific anxiety, and it will all be fine.
Yes.
I was a moron. This was also 2008, and I don't think it was being done as frequently as it is today.
Sure.
I think a lot more people are experiencing massive. First of all, there are a lot more people with massive weight to lose.
Yes.
And the ability to lose it has become quite a bit more easier. 2008, it was, I think, a relatively new procedure, or just not done regularly.
Yeah. And a lot of it's like, the doctors doing it now come better trained for like out of med school residency fellowship, because they have so much clinical experience from their ancestry of doctors to rely on. But also you have doctors nowadays who've been doing skin removal procedures for 20 or 30 years. But they could fucking smoke a cigarette while they did it. It's so goddamn routine. And the routine part's nice, but it's also when they encounter very abnormal things and have to work around things in surgery, they've probably seen that 5 or 6 times before, versus you are the first person they've ever seen like this when you're on the OR all split open and they're like, well, how the fuck do we navigate this like branch of fucking nerves or whatever?
Yeah.
So nowadays the doctors are so goddamn good that like that's not really a problem. I do have to say one thing, that procedures like Renuvion, procedures like Body Tight actually do not require you to do anything but put like a 1/5 inch hole into that area, like thigh skin. The top of the thigh or bottom of the thigh, they put in like a really teeny hole. They stick the whole apparatus through that. They mop up all the fat cells. They put a bunch of heat in the area and it contracts the skin. They pull it out. So you do have swelling, you have bruising, but you don't have a scar. You have a hole and a drain coming out of it. And then after 5 days, they take the drain out. 2 days later, the drain hole seals. And then like there is no scar. You can't really fuck it up. There's just nothing to do. If you go train, you get a hematoma, so don't do that. But it's not like they cut you open. And for guys like me and you that had like a lot of loose skin, it's not going to cut it. You're going to need to have like actually skin excised.
Right.
But for a lot of people that lost 30, 40, sometimes 50 pounds, if they have really good skin, like a little overhang on their belly, like Body Tight procedure can really just nuke that. And the recovery from that is like a fucking breeze compared to traditional skin removal.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this and you're like, dude, in fact, skin removal sounds brutal, it can be. But the Body Tight procedure, Renuvion procedure, is just something that is like 10 times less brutal. And it's really like, sometimes they'll even do it when you're on like twilight meds, when you're like kind of in and out, but you're not even completely out for the shit. Right. So it's really a different thing. And I'll say another thing. Skin removal procedure is fucking brutal. And I have a whole YouTube video on my channel about me going through it, pictures, me bleeding out of my ass, the whole thing. But like now that I'm 9 weeks post-surgery, like I don't hardly even remember much of, if I actively try to think about the pain and the suffering or whatever, it was a fucking terrible time. But now it's not. And now it's a great time. And it just goes away much faster than you would. Oh, sorry. Hold on a second. Yes, honey, I'm on a podcast. It's Ethan Suplee. He's
hi,
important.
Crystal.
He says hi, Crystal. She ran away.
Listen, I had an apron of skin that folded over my pelvis. There's no universe where my life hasn't dramatically improved, even with my scar. And by the way, this giant scar I have on my side is painful. It's not
no
like,
way.
Yeah. It's not nothing. And even
sucks.
With that, I'm so glad I did it. And I did my breasts too, which when everything was said and done, they hung almost to my belly button. And now I still have loose skin. in that area, and there's no part of me that regrets having that done. Life is truly miraculously better for having had that done. My only thing would be a word of caution of like, get prepared to sit still. Don't be afraid that because you're sitting still, you're going to get fat again. It's not enough time to get fat like you were, and get kind of okay with experiencing some pain. Like,
yeah, the pain they can help you with a ton now with Journavx and all the modern meds. The sitting still, you only have to do for a little bit, and then they let you actually walk around. They would prefer you to be pretty active. Just don't go lifting weights or, doing cartwheels or some shit like that. And my wife just had a whole shitload of plastic surgery. She had like damn near every procedure done at the same time. And her doctor, Dr. Sheila Nazarian from Beverly Hills, fucking legendary, had her own doctor Netflix show and everything. She cleared her for weight training after I think 4.5 weeks. And I was like, you're kidding me. And yeah, just don't go super heavy, but you're good to go. Cause like the reality is, unless you majorly fuck up, once your scars close, which typically happens after about 3 or 4 weeks, there's just not much you can do to really fuck yourself up. You get really, really creative, like car accident kind of forces and shit.
Yeah.
So it's just really not like the recovery is stated as 12 weeks, but after about 6 weeks, they let you go to the gym again. After about 9 weeks, 10 weeks total, they're like, yeah, listen, there's nothing in the gym you can do to hurt yourself. It's just fucking rock on. Just go do your thing. Wear your brace a little bit during the day and you're fine. And then after that, 12 weeks, like, well, you're good to go. The other thing to say is the full results of lipo and skin removal combo, which is almost always what they do, because like you're going to open up the skin, you might as well get all the fat cells out, is visible in 1 year. And almost every surgeon, every bodybuilder I've talked to have gotten these procedures are like really. One of our people that we had when Crystal did her surgery was this nice young lady who was doing the lymphatic massage and to get help all the shit clear out after surgery. And she was like, she had gotten multiple procedures for herself, and she's like, check this out. After 6 months post tummy tuck, I looked at my body and I was like, this is a gigantic fucking mistake. I look awful. And then she goes, after a year, I was like, I look like a goddess, and this is like a miracle.
Yeah.
And so it's gonna take just bite that fucking bullet and know that like 1 year from now, I'm gonna look stellar, and you are. The thing is, if they take the skin and the fat out, you're not really prepared for what you're going to look like, because it's nothing like you've looked like ever before.
Right.
It's not like, oh, but there's a catch. There is no catch. You just look fucking ridiculous. And here's the best part. Anytime you gain weight, lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, 5 or 10 pounds, normal fluctuations, you won't be able to gain almost any fat in that area, because they took all the fucking fat cells out, man. You're down to 5% of the fat cells you used to have. It is now your leanest part of your body and will forever be. That's such a big deal.
Let me ask you one other question that is somewhat subjective, but I would love to hear your take on this. If you've undergone massive weight loss, how long, and first of all, at what body fat percentage, like how lean do you think you should be, number one? And then number two, do you think you should, like, let's say the first time I lose weight, I lose 100 pounds. And on the day I lose 100 pounds, I go in and get the surgery. This was part of the problem I had, because I still gained a bunch of weight after the surgery. And it did exactly what you said. I gained it in areas that I hadn't had the surgery, and it looked fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And part of that was I'd never heard of maintenance at that point. 2008, nobody told me you got to really work on maintenance and here's how you do it. So I had no long-term plan, number one. And number two, I actually, when I look back at it, do not think I was nearly lean enough when I got the surgery. The first surgery, the second surgery, I was a rock star, and it was much smoother, and it was the healing process was much easier, and I never gained weight after that, and it was great. But the first surgery, I wasn't lean enough, and I hadn't gotten my sea legs with that level of fatness. What are your thoughts?
Great question. Less subjective than you might think. You bring up a couple of very, very distinct concerns that are very, very spot on. There are a few risks with losing 100 pounds and on the day you lost pound 100, getting checked in and getting cut up. One question is, are you at the body fat level or close to it that you want to live at? You should get down there first. The other question is, are you prepared for the sustainability of the situation? Because if you regain the weight, it'll go to other places. You might even go to the same place again, less so, but still you'll need another procedure. Like skin surgery, once you have it, you're like, I'm going to do this shit once, maybe twice. And if I have to do it a third time, I'm just going to check out. Like, nah, I'm good, man. So is that some shit you want to repeat? And also like the scars add up. Like how many scars do you fucking want on your body? I think scars are dope. I love the Frankenstein look, but most people don't agree with that. So you have to assuredly understand that not only am I about as lean as I'd like to be on average, plus or minus a few percentage points, but also I am pretty confident that I can just at least not blow up. And what I would say is there are a number of weapons in our arsenal today, in our quill of arrows, that we can deploy that radically change the game. I think modern weight loss drugs are nothing short of a miracle. And I don't only think that the vast majority of overweight people should be trying them. I think the vast majority of everyone who's an adult should just be on low to moderate doses of them all the time. Because these drugs are showing to have like 5 to 10 incredible weight-independent effects on health. They reduce neural inflammation. They delay and to some extent prevent Alzheimer's disease. They are good for your cardiovascular health in a way that is not accounted for only by their weight loss potential. They are good for systemic inflammation. They are technically hitting like 3 of 5 of the big boxes of aging slowdown. They are positive psychological modulators, because what they do is they reduce your addictive drive, period, for everything. You know, people say they use drugs or eat food to fill the hole.
Yeah.
You don't really feel the hole when you're on enough of these things. Right. It's just a totally different way to live. And also, we're not even in the first generation of these. We're technically in the 4th generation. So there's this drug called tirzepatide, GLP-GIP dual agonist. And every study that comes out on tirzepatide is like, there's just nothing this drug really can't do, seemingly, with getting you leaner. And so if you're a person who is wondering, okay, when I lose the weight, am I sure that I'm going to be able to keep it off? If you lost the weight without the addition of tirzepatide, or with it, with it, it's a different case. If you lost it without it, I would say try to get on tirzepatide and see if you can't lose a little bit more weight, or at least maintain your weight. Ethan, maintaining your weight on these drugs is a matter of dose. You adjust the dose, you eat mostly healthy foods. You like wonder how the fuck anyone ever gained weight before. Because you look at food and you're like, that looks good. You eat half a cheeseburger and you're like, oh, fuck. Someone says, you want more? You're like, I can't do it. And then 5 hours later, you forget that you're supposed to eat again. 7 hours later, you feel weird. You're like, oh, I got to get food in me. You eat a little bit, and then you're full again.
Right.
And it never goes away. There is no adaptation curve. It's a drug you shoot subcutaneous injection once a week, and it builds power over 5 weeks. And then it stabilizes at whatever dose you're using, and it never quits. People have been on this for years and years and years. There's zero evidence of it not working. Your brain does not have an ability to get desensitized to it. It never does. This is a forever tool you can always use, and you can 100% pretty much assure yourself you're never going to regain the weight. Because if you've never tried these drugs, you can be like, nah, man, trust me, like I could fucking eat. You try this shit, and you're like, what? That sounds funny in retrospect. Because trying to gain weight, I'm on these drugs year round, by the way, because they're phenomenal for health and everything else. I'm on low to moderate, low doses of these all the time. I'm on 5 milligrams of tirzepatide all the time. And actually, like I have to go through mass gain phases. Ethan, it is basically impossible because you're like, I would love to eat, but I think I'm done eating for the rest of my life or something like that. And it's 2 p.m. and you have 6 meals more to go. It's a big deal. So if you can get down to a very lean body fat percentage, tough to measure sometimes with people with lots of excess skin, but doable. And then you maintain there for months to show to yourself, I can do this, and to build the kind of lifestyle habits that allow you to do. I know what it's like to go for a weekend on Catalina Island and have fun with my friends. I know what it's like to gain 5 pounds for that weekend. I know what it's like to come back and lose the 5 pounds over 3 days. I know what it's like to coast 2 weeks later and be like, wow, I can do this every other week and it doesn't fucking matter. Living that maintenance life, getting reps in practice with that maintenance life, so that when someone asks you before the surgery, which they do, like, hey, like, how controlled is your weight? You know, because if you gain the weight, all the surgeons tell you the same thing. If you gain the weight, you're just going to have to redo the surgery. It's going to blow out everything. It's going to suck. If you're like, yeah, like, no, I'm good to go, man. I'm fucking living this. Then it's a good idea. So I would definitely recommend against losing 100 pounds and then getting right into surgery. And here's the thing. The silver lining to having to walk around with aprons of skin on you is, you know, that skin's time is running out. It's like you're getting out of jail and the big prison break coming up on Monday, and it's Friday and the guards are extra mean to you. You're like, fellas, yeah, you don't have to take it personally. I'll never see these assholes again. It's like that. So your skin's bothering you. You're like, all right, skin, you got another 3 weeks to bother me until that fucking surgery hits. And then after that, you're fucking ready. You're good to go. Have a great recovery. And then they can the other thing is, you don't have to discover that you need more surgery. When you've come down to a weight that's very low body fat, you get a DEXA, get all the bullshit, and they're like, look, you're at 12%. Like, you can easily just get to 6 or 8% like everyone else does if you just cut off all the skin right now and good to go. Also, here's the thing. Whatever percent body fat you are, if you've lost a lot of weight, when they do skin removal, they do lipo as well. Dude, you're going to take 3 or 4% body fat off with that surgery. So, like, if you're at 12%, holy fucking shit, they'll do the surgery. You'll be a fucking way leaner. So you can even regain during recovery to 10%. And then you start training and dieting again. You'll come back to 7 and you'll be like, actually, my dick doesn't work anymore. I'm too fucking lean. I got to eat more food. So, not from personal experience, of course. My dick's never worked. Everyone knows that. And so if you do that whole approach, you do that situation, then you can get a one-stop shop for surgery. And that's really important. Now, sometimes they can't do it for various reasons. You have to do 2 procedures, maybe a year, 6 months apart. But a lot of times the doc is going to be like, look, we're putting you under. The team and I are here for 5 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours. I don't give a fuck. You can look at your body and go, I want under my titty skin gone, I want my back skin gone, I want my thigh skin gone, and I want my fucking panis on my belly gone. And they're like, yeah, no fucking problem. We'll take care of all of it. They do it all. The recovery from a bunch of different surgeries is basically the same level of brutality. You know, like when you go to jail, sometimes they like I'm speaking to you as if you've been to jail. When you go to jail, you serve a prison sentence. Sometimes they let you serve concurrently for like 3 different crimes. Yep. Like, that's the equivalent of recovering from surgery. Like, yeah, sure, you can come back and serve 6-month sentences for 18 months total in prison, or you can serve for 3 different crimes 6 months at the same time, and you're just out in 6 months. Same idea with multiple surgeries. A lot of times the doc's like, look, like, you're healthy enough to recover from this. We're gonna cut your ass open in fucking 5 different places. My wife just got surgery. She got skin removal, or not skin. So she got body tight on her thighs, which worked phenomenally, by the way. She got the body tight procedure on her entire back, which worked amazingly. She got pulled open. They retightened her abs, plicated them together. They took a crap load of panis skin, threw it the fuck away, bolted it down to her lower hips, and she got her titties done all at the same time. Oh, and she got some of that fat taken out of somewhere and injected into the side of her hips for more of, like, as if she wasn't super fucking curvy already. The fucking why not, right? That, Ethan, they did in one fucking procedure.
Wow.
All of it. But the cool thing is she doesn't have to get 8 fucking surgeries now. Right. It's just one and done. So if you are a person who's been much heavier, or you're on your way down now, or now you're down and you're lean, get that extra last bit of leanness, really suffer for that shit, then maintain for a few months, 3 to 6 months. And then when you're confident, like, I got this, I got medication, I got whatever I need to maintain, no problem, then you schedule a consult. And the only thing I have to say on this mega rant is you have to be incredibly clear with the surgeon as to what you want, because the surgeon has an aesthetic vision of their own. They're artists. Every single surgeon is an artist. And they're very good at creating very beautiful physiques. But their idea of what a beautiful physique is might not align with what your idea of a beautiful physique is. And they might tell you, well, I'm not really worried about that on you. And you go, doc, I am. And they don't give a fuck. They're like, all right, that's $20 extra $1,000 or whatever. I don't give a shit. I'm there anyway. And so if you're very clear about what you want, they're going to say, look, I hear you. But here are the ways we might be able to handle these things, the ways we could, but I don't think we should, the ways we can, and I think we should. You do a negotiation, you ask them questions, and at the end of the day, you guys get a surgical plan together, really is together, of like your desires are being met, the surgeon's constraints are being met. You took some of his advice, other advice, you're like, that's not how I see it. He's like, okay, I see you really want all that back skin off. A lot of people don't complain about the upper back, but I guess it's an issue for you. You're like, yes. He's like, okay, fine. And you get that agglomerated plan and boom, you fucking hit it. And then you get put under and no time transpires. You wake up again and you're like, everything fucking hurts. And then it just every day it gets better and better and better until it's like a memory and you look fucking awesome.
And a year later, you are the Adonis.
That's it. And then your only problem is like rejecting blowjob requests from randoms, which gets to be a lot, Ethan. I mean, hundreds of DMs a day. Who can keep up?
Dr. Mike, thank you so much. This has been wonderful.
I loved it. Anytime, Ethan.